We'll begin this Shabbat with a McCoon. We welcome in Shabbat with the lighting of Shabbat candles, and it's my pleasure to invite Janine up to help us with the welcoming of Shabbat.
We are holiness. We are blessed. We are filled and sustained by gifts imparted and ingrained. On Shabbat, we rest with intention. We breathe in the divine spirit and release the tumult of the week gone by. We take a few moments to simply be present. We rediscover our connection to our Creator. In that quiet moment of truth, so profound, alone with our source, we see our own reflections and find what we have also found ourselves.
The blessing is on page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We are on page 130 with the words Lechu Naranana Ladonai. Let us come and sing joyously to Adonai. Lechu Naranana Adonai, Naria Litzor Yishenu, Nekadma Fanav Betoda, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Nekadma Fanav Betoda, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Adonai, Naria Litzor Yishenu, Adonai, Naria Litzor Yishenu, Nekadma Fanav Betoda, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Nekadma Fanav Betoda, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Nekadma Fanav Betoda, Bizmirot Naria Lo. We continue on page 138 with the words of Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmi'anu el ha'miuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem tiferet v'letehila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela. Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'beracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela. Please rise in all the ways you're able. Oy v'shalom ateret bala, Gam besimcha uv'tzohala, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, Boi chala. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela. Please be seated. We're on page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nile Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem leshalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. We're on 146. For the Baruch Hu, please rise in all the ways you are able. Yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai dai dai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Please be seated. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreom v'layla, golelor mivnei choshech, golelor mivnei choshech, v'choshech mivnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Dear heart, the world needs to be different, but it can't be different if you aren't. Tend to and be tender with your differences. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. It's my pleasure to invite Ted to the Bima area to share with us a reading for Mi Chamocha.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
We are on page 158. Ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 We're on page 160. As we approach the Hashkivenu this Shabbat, we think of all of those who need a Sukkot Shalom, a dwelling of peace, those who need to be guarded for life, those who feel as though they are unsafe. Whether it is here in our very own state, whether it is in Ukraine or in Israel, we know that there are many who are in need of these prayers for protection and these prayers for peace. So we take a moment to hold all of those people, perhaps including ourselves, in our hearts, and we take a deep breath. And we turn to page 160 for the words of Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Leshalom, Hamideinu Shomreinu Lechaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Leshalom, Hamideinu Shomreinu Lechaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Leshalom, Hamideinu Shomreinu Lechaim. Lechaim. We are on the next page with the words of Vishamru on page 162. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. We come to our tefillah, our core part of our prayers and our service. We are on page 164, and we rise as we sing words shared by our ancestors. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Agi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevig Ula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed. Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayim emunato lishenei afar, michamocha pa'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please take a moment for your own silent prayer. We are on page 178. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Vetov Be'einecha Levarech Et Amcha Yisrael Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Yehiyu leratzon imreifi ve'yon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, vegoali, vegoali. Iyu leratzon imreifi ve'yon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, vegoali, vegoali. A while ago, there was a trend on social media where women in heterosexual relationships would begin telling their partners that they were about to begin their period, to see what they would do. And there were some wonderful examples where partners would hear the menstruation was coming and they would run to the store and they would get pads and tampons and Tylenol and even chocolate or one's favorite cookie. And some of them even had backup stock in their cars and in their briefcases. It was very interesting to see what people would respond. However, there were others who, when they heard the beginning of the word period, By the time we got to the second syllable, were out of the room or who had frozen as if a cheetah had walked in the room. And they tried to do whatever they could to get out of the conversation. This week, we read from Parashat Matsura in the book of Leviticus. This portion is divided into two main sections. One, how to heal from a scaly affliction called sora'at, which is often mistranslated as leprosy. And the other section has to do with how the Israelites should handle various bodily functions, including menstruation. We often think of religion as the time and place for the soul, for us to think about spiritual topics like God and the nature of the world and time and place. Not so much for us to talk about our bodies and the things that they do in a technical sense. Due to the influence of both Western Puritanism and Enlightenment in early American societal definitions of what was decided as proper or deserving of the title holy, the predecessors to American Reform and conservative rabbis and cantors and temple communities and synagogues began the process of removing what didn't seem appropriate for synagogue conversation and learning. This act of separating the holy from the unholy, the proper and appropriate from the vulgar, in many ways looked like separating the body from the soul. The reflecting on and learning about our souls or our minds, holy and proper and awe-inducing, was meant to be housed in our places of worship. But the crude, the dirty, the grungy body was meant for bathrooms and doctors' offices. So, we don't expect to hear our rabbis talking about most bodily functions from the Bima these days, especially periods. And honestly, we don't expect almost anybody to talk about them outside of perhaps with a few close people in our lives or talking about our bodies with our doctors. Of course, there are boundaries of what discussion is appropriate and what is not. But when we insist on these divisions at all costs between our minds or souls and our bodies, we teach others that our bodies are not part of who we are when we walk through the doors of our temple. We teach our young people that talking about periods and other functions of bodies are not only not holy or miraculous, they are sources of discomfort, which will cause the very people whose support they need to potentially run from the room or freeze and do whatever they can to stay away from the conversation. We need to do better about normalizing our bodies and what they need, which sometimes includes reading our biblical texts that talk about them, even if we wrestle with their portrayal. So, in a moment, we will hear the translation of Leviticus chapter 15, verses 19 through 23, followed by a poem called The Ritual Bath by Sarah Antine that was influenced by this text. When a woman has a discharge, her discharge being blood from her body, she shall remain in her menstrual separation 7 days. Whoever touches her shall be impure until evening. Anything that she lies on during her menstrual separation shall be impure, and anything that she sits on shall be impure. All those who touch her bedding shall wash their clothes, bathe in water, and remain impure until evening. And all those who touch any object in which she has sat shall wash their clothes, bathe in water, and remain impure until evening. be it the bedding, or be it the object in which she sat. On touching it, one shall become impure until evening. The ritual bath. It takes a tree a year to do what I do in a month. The moon unfolding its pearl. At the edge of the night, I peel off layers of myself. Maple leaves redden and drop, limbs shedding their temporary hands. Full of rainwater, I go to the ritual bath, a room between I am alone and I am together with you. May no part of me stay up when I go under. Water closes its ceiling above me. I am no longer a container for sadness. Whether we agree with these portrayals of periods, it almost does more damage when we resist any conversation, including talking about the conversations in our texts, so that we can read them and wrestle with them and come to the places where we are with our own understandings of our bodies. And when we do so, we model this for others in our community, including our young people. Ken Yehiratson, may this be God's will. With these words of Torah on our minds, we think of those who are in need of healing of body, healing of spirit. We take this moment to think of those who are in need of our prayers this Shabbat. And so if you have someone who you are thinking of, please feel free to type their name in the chat, to say their name aloud to somebody nearby. And if you are in the room with us this evening, to share their name aloud for us to hear as my hand passes over your section. We'll pause a moment as people finish typing. For all those names that we've said aloud, those that we've kept in our hearts, and those that we've typed in the chat, we turn to page 371 for the words of Mi Sheberach. Mi Sheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi Sheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha We are on page 586 with the words of Aleinu. Please rise in all the ways you are able. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, la'tzeit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Please be seated. We take this moment to remember. We remember those who were blessings in our lives or in the world who are no longer with us. Please rise as your loved one's name is read. Eli C. Elkaim, brother of Suzanne Corbett. Lon Hitchcock, husband of Arlene Hitchcock. Leonid Kalick, father of John Kalick. Marie Levender, sister of Suzanne Corbett. Manuel Malitz, father of Rosalie Rosenbaum. Julia Manis, grandmother of Rick Brodzinski and grandmother of Hannah Brodzinski. Ruth Shack, sister of Herman Rosenbaum. Louis Smith, father of Jerry Ann Smith. Gertrude Solomon, remembered by Susan Toth. Elk Perel Spitz, remembered by Susan Toth. Graylin Tuggle, remembered by Richard Garcia. Jack Weinstein Sr., father of Jack Weinstein. Richard Wilbert, father of Phoebe Weiner. And Brucha Kotliar, remembered by Simon, Natalia, Boris, and Melania Selitzer. We now invite all who are in their first year of mourning to rise at this time. And now we rise as a community with our mourners as we turn to page 598 for the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitz gadal v'yitz kadash shmei Rabba, be'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemei dekud brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, to which we say, Amen. Shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. It's now time for announcements. It's my pleasure to invite David to share some news of what is going on.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
All right. Sundays, April 10th and 24th, and May 1st, the Social Action Committee will host a donation collection for Afghan refugee families still arriving from Afghanistan. You can drop off your donations at Temple Beth Torah between the hours of 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. on those days. Only specific items are being accepted, so please see the Social Action webpage for details. If you would like to donate but cannot make these times, please feel free to contact Janice Fonteno. Our What You Didn't Learn in Religious School series continues on Tuesday, April 12th at 7 p.m. with I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. We will learn about some of the powerful women in Jewish history who defy stereotypes. This program is Zoom only and open to ages 12 and up. This year, there are many ways to celebrate Passover with TBT. Passover Havdalah on the second night of Passover, which is April 16th. A special Shabbat service on April 22nd, and Pesach Yizkor on April 23rd. Details for all can be found in the weekly and on our website. After Passover, it's time to celebrate TBT's 60th anniversary. On Sunday, April 24th, we're having a community fun day from 12 to 3 p.m. at Central Park. Schmooze and reminisce, walk the lake, enjoy a delicious barbecue lunch, and other fun activities for all ages. Save the date. End of life planning is something we will each have to do, whether for ourselves or for our loved ones. How we make these plans in a way that reflects our values and the legacy that we want to leave behind. Please join us for our Death and Taxes, Planning for the Inevitable, a multi-access expert panel and bagel brunch event on Sunday, May 15th at 10 a.m. We will explore the different spiritual and practical lenses through which we look at end-of-life planning. Thank you to Jack Samosky and Suzanne Amaro for representing the worship committee, and Jim Cohen for being on AV. Shabbat Shalom.
And thank you, David Benoon, for sharing those words of announcement with us. I have one more announcement for us. So, as some of you know, we at Temple Beth Torah have been participating in what we called 60 by 60, trying to get 60 greening actions by our 60th anniversary celebration in June. And it turns out that we got More than 60 already. Woohoo! That's so exciting. We are already at 69 greening actions in our community, and so we've decided to double it. So we are now trying to get double 60 by 60. It's kind of like you have chai and you have double chai. So we had 60 and now we're going for double 60. And so we have here you might have seen this as you walk in. For those online, you might not have seen this because you haven't been in person, but one of our religious school students made this lovely poster that tells us or reminds us to save the earth. And we have here our action count. We'll have to come up with a cooler name for it. However, you could see, so we surpassed 30 and we just surpassed 60. So now the next step is 90, but really we're trying to get to 120. And so during Shabbat services, we are going to check in to see how well we are doing. And I hope that you will join us in participating in these actions. If you have not yet signed up on how to register your actions, please feel free to be in touch with our Social Action Committee. You can find their information on our website. And if navigating the website is too hard for you, let me know some of the green actions you're doing, and we may be able to find other ways to register them so that we can still keep count even if you can't figure out the website. So, woohoo, we've gotten to 69. We're just beyond halfway there, and now we can get to 120. And with that exciting news, we turn to other things that bring us joy, our family. So I encourage you to reach out to family by any definition you choose. And if you are not in the same room as family who you would like to be sending these blessings to, I encourage you to close your eyes for a moment and hold them in your heart so that they can feel the blessing you are sending their way. May God bless you and keep you. May God shine God's face upon you and be gracious to you. May God's face turn to you and grant you peace. To which we say, Amen. And I was remiss, I forgot to mention that we are grateful to Joe Eagle for having made our greening action countinator. So thank you, Joe Eagle. We appreciate that. We now continue with the Kiddush on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim. I realize I'm covering up the pieces. You couldn't see how far we got. Okay. And now for the motzi. Don't tell anyone I just did that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. You see, the only people who saw me drop that challah was just all of us and all the people on Zoom and all the people on YouTube. So, whatever. And whoever watches the recordings. Totally fine. Totally fine. We are going to conclude with a melody we haven't sung in quite a while, but I missed it, so we're going to do it. We're going to sing Debbie Friedman's Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
As a
Shalom.
reminder, next Shabbat is Passover. We will not have services here, but I hope that you'll have a wonderful first night of Passover. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.